Back here talking Monday Night Football, Saints, Chargers, and before you knew it, Saints found themselves down 17 points, but Drew Brees rallied. Didn't look wonderful, but he looked good enough to throw a touchdown, run a touchdown, and sneak by for a 30-27 overtime win. New Orleans, though, without Michael Thomas last night. He was suspended for punching a teammate during Saturday's practice. The crisis avoided. Saints still pull out the win. Here's Drew Brees on the sticky situation with his receiver.
I've spoken with Mike. Mike and I talk a lot, both in person in the locker room, through text message. We're always communicating. And so at the end of the day, man, Mike is a big part of this team, and he's going to be a big part of this team, moving forward. There was, we had an incident, and Sean addressed it, and many of the leaders have spoken with Mike as well, and we're going to be all good.
It's more than a little incident. He punched a guy in the face. There's a lot going on here. Brian Westbrook, who joins us now. Good morning. Or maybe it's a guy thing. I don't know. So you have a team without your star wide receiver. You're barely beating a Chargers team. How should Saints fans be feeling this morning?
If I was a Saints fan, I would be a little disappointed this morning. When I went into that game, if I'm a Saints fan, playing against the Chargers, who are missing on the defensive side, Derwin James, Melvin Ingram, Chris Harris, Joey Bosa's on a pitch count. I'm saying Drew Brees and that offense should be able to pick them apart, even without Michael Thomas there in the lineup. But what I saw, especially in the first half, was an offense that lacked rhythm. Drew Brees seemed reluctant to throw the ball down the field. He wanted to dink and dunk. There were just times where I didn't know that if he could throw the ball deep down the field or not, especially in that first half. When you look on the defensive side of the ball, there was a bunch of miscommunications. They're giving up deep, big plays down the field. And then when you say special teams-wise, you're saying get off the field. Your only job is to get off the field. They're roughing the kicker, putting their defense back on the field. So there was a lot of errors in that first half. They figured things out. But again, they're playing against a rookie quarterback in a defense without a lot of his star players. I expected the Saints to go out there and have a good game. They didn't really turn things on until the second half. That kind of surprised me.
Yeah, but Brian, they're still a really good defense, and they have a really good defensive scheme. And these guys, the Dallas Cowboys need to take a page out of their book. Do your job. Be where you're supposed to be. If you're going to play zone coverage, all you got to do is just read your keys and get to your zone. So for that reason, I think that the New Orleans Saints fans should feel great because, as you know, B, it's hard to get a win in the National Football League. If you're a good team or not, you got to bring it every single play, every single Sunday. You have to earn it. So they should be happy. And they also should be happy with what they're seeing from Drew Brees. Because of what you just said, Drew Brees is uncomfortable throwing it to anyone else. If you just look at last night, a guy that emerged, Emmanuel Sanders, looked phenomenal. Speed off the line, burst, amazing route running, and he had 14 targets, 12 catches, 122 yards. We haven't seen that in a very long time. We don't see that consistently. We don't see that enough. Look at this graph here. Go back to 2017. This is alarming because this shows that there's no balance on this offensive side. If you take out Mike Thomas, then you really don't have anyone on the other side that can hold your team afloat. If a team is doubling Mike, if they're rolling coverage, or if he's dealing with a lingering ankle injury. So for that reason, they should be happy because he finally got someone else involved. Emmanuel Sanders looked lights out last night. He went over 100 yards, and that is showing that Drew Brees just let it rip. He said, you know what? What can I lose? They're going to crush me if I lose this game, so let me just drop back and throw it to a guy that is getting open every single play.
All right, so I've got good news for the Saints. The good news is you escaped with a win. The bad news is, as we just learned from the previous segment, wins over the Chargers by a field goal don't count. So I don't know if Goodell needs to get with the standings folks or whatever, but we need to discuss. It says they're 3-2, but I think they're actually 2-3. I think that's how it works. I don't know. Is it a tie? I'm not sure. In fact, they would have lost if Badgley's kick doesn't hit the upright, so it's even worse. So that's bad news for them. Standings are wrong. The other bad news is this. The Saints don't have a path to the Super Bowl that does not include Drew Brees being at least a top 6 quarterback in the league. And he's not anymore. Michael Thomas or not, man. Drew Brees is, and I understand Brandon's point that so much of the position is mental, not physical, and that is true, but the physical part matters. If it didn't, Joe Montana would be getting snaps this weekend for the Cowboys instead of Andy Dalton.
That's not true.
I'm sure his mind is as sharp as ever.
Continue to make that take. No, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. Yeah, I mean, you're just making because that's completely not true. That's not. You're talking about Joe Montana coming back and still getting snaps. Come on, Drew Brees has been done, Nick, for 5-6 years. Or you can even go back to his shoulder surgery, and you're talking about dinking and dunking. He's been dinking and dunking for the past 10 years. Tom Brady dinked and dunked his way to 6 Super Bowls.
Yeah, sure. But hold on. But Brandon, wait. Do you think Drew Brees looks, with or without Michael Thomas, as good as he did 2 years ago? Do you?
It's because he's uncomfortable. That's what it is. With Michael Thomas in the game, 100% yes. That's what they do.
Okay.
Michael Thomas is not taking the top off the offense. Michael Thomas is running option routes. Michael Thomas is running looky routes, which you can run a slant in a slot or you can run an outcut. Michael Thomas is eating off of 12-yard hooks. That's what he does. That's his route tree.
Oh, I
Nothing
agree.
else.
I
You don't
agree.
see
It's
Michael Thomas.
It's not deep bombs. Of course, he's not running nines. He's not running deep posts. I agree with you entirely that the Saints offense is not totally dependent on Drew Brees, doing a Josh Allen, your guy, and throwing it deep. I'm not arguing that. I'm arguing he looks not as sharp on the intermediate and short stuff as we're used to seeing. And I do not think the Saints can be a legitimate Super Bowl contender if he is not A-plus sharp on the Drew Brees stuff. Look, 2 years ago, when he was in contention for MVP with Mahomes, he was completing like 76% of his passes deep into the season. I don't think that player exists anymore. And Wilds, I think that is a massive problem for the Saints. I think they have a good, not great defense. They have an offense.
I'm sorry, Wilds.
Go ahead, Brandon.
I'm sorry, Wilds. No, that's not the case. It's not. You talking about his 70-something% into the, deep into the season. It was less about Drew Brees and more about Mike Thomas. Mike Thomas was snatching everything. This guy went on the streak where he didn't drop a ball for about 2 years in a row. Drew Brees was thrown into double coverage, triple coverage. When I got to New Orleans, I was baffled at how great Drew Brees is and how he's one of the smartest quarterbacks. And he was just throwing it across the middle of the field against the Cowboys in double and triple coverage. And Mike Thomas was going up, catching the ball, getting smashed, getting rocked, and getting up and getting back in the huddle and doing it again the next play. So it was more about Mike Thomas and less about Drew Brees. Drew Brees, for the past 10 years, he's been doing the same thing. Now, physically, has he declined? Probably. But he should still be able to get it done. The issue is he doesn't feel comfortable throwing it to other people. That is the problem. Coach Payton doesn't feel comfortable getting other guys involved. You take away Mike Thomas, you take away Alvin, and you have a problem in New Orleans.
Okay, so I'll ask you, Brian, if I'm playing the Saints and I watch the show, when Michael Thomas is back and let's say his ankle is 100% healthy, why isn't my number one defensive plan to take away Michael Thomas and turn Drew Brees into this kind of middling, quarterback who's as old as I am?
Well, that should be your number one defensive plan. Find a way to take away Mike Thomas. And if Brandon's 100% right, that's the way to stop this offense. Double team Mike Thomas and then go attack everyone else. But Drew Brees should be good enough. Here's the thing. When you look at teams like Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers, you took away Devontae Adams and Allen Lazard. They went out there and won the game, and Aaron Rodgers looked good. Now, of course, he's a little bit younger than Drew Brees. Drew Brees still has some weapons on that team. He still had Emmanuel Sanders in the first half. He couldn't find a way to get him the football. There was times yesterday that Drew Brees looked hesitant to throw the ball. He didn't look comfortable in the pocket. To me, that's not a Mike Thomas thing. That's more of a quarterback thing, his decision-making and being able to pull the trigger. Until he figures that out, I think that offense will be in a little bit of trouble, especially if Mike Thomas is not there for him.
And really quick, Nick, here and Wilds and B, Jenna, here's the situation. Here's how I got to New Orleans. I called one of the godfathers in our game, and I said, look, I want to get there. I think this could be a great fit. We went back and forth for about 2 weeks, and he said, look, they're going to bring you in because they want to use you when you go into the playoffs because they know that if they take Mike Thomas out, they're going to need someone on the other side. I was literally brought in for that reason. Why it didn't work out, maybe I was just old and washed up, but that was what was told to me. Brandon, you're coming in, and we want to get you ready for the playoffs. That was the situation because they knew no Mike T, teams are going to take him out, and they were going to be in trouble.
It's the same way, Brandon, I got a job here at FS1. I just called them up. I'm like, you need me as you get ready for the football season. Hey, they're still cleaning up confetti down in Orlando with the Lakers now crowned NBA champs. We have to ask, can they do it again? The answer's next. There was a lot of confetti. I would imagine it's still cleaning up.
I mean,